you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there, ladies sings that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. I hope you're all strapped in today.
I'm strapped in, Mommy. Ready?
Welcome to the big show, as always, for 16 years, going on 17, 2,600 episodes, we bring you the Chris Voss Show because it seemed like a good idea at the time, and it still is. We have the most amazing authors on the show, so make sure you're first to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTok, and I don't know, wherever all the places we are on the internet.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
We have an amazing young man who's joining us today on the show. We're going to be getting into it with him. His book is entitled Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning in Human Resources, a Concise Guide. Today, we are joined by Dr. Rasmussen. We're going to get into it with him and talk to him. His first name is Kurt. He goes by C. Rasmussen if you look up his books on Amazon, just so you can find him easy there, folks. And we're going to talk to him about his experience and everything else. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rasmussen. How are you?
Thanks. I'm doing great. By the way, I love your intro. And I was just wondering what happens if I stick my arms outside the, confines of.
Might get cut off. Yeah, it's a roller coaster. That's what they tell you. So, you are a leading expert in industrial organizational psychiatry with a PhD from Walden University. You specialize in blending human skills with artificial intelligence. Is that what they call simulation? And machine learning to make workplaces better and more efficient. Years of experience in research, consulting, government roles. He helps businesses use data and tech wisely. Because why should we use it wisely when we can just use it recklessly? Kurt, what do you think about that?
I guess if we want to get the benefit, wisely is the best.
No, let's hook up AI to nuclear systems and just see what happens. I think what could go wrong, right?
What could go right?
That's true too.
That may actually be the thing. It's like something could go right, and then that disappoints a lot of people because profit and whatnot.
Well, it would solve a lot of human problems, nuclear war, but. People always ask me, they're like, we should have more peace on Earth. You know how you get peace on Earth? Kill all the humans. Anyway, so give us a .com. So where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
So they can look me up on the focalpointcoaching.com website under Kurt Rasmussen. I'm also on LinkedIn. Those are generally the places that I inhabit. And then my books are on Amazon.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside this book?
So if I give you a 30,000-foot overview, it's only 61 pages, hence the title of being concise.
Oh.
So really, this book really gives you, what I should say, it arms you with the questions and some of the thoughts you should have if you're going to implement artificial intelligence in a human resource process. So, for example, I'm going to use AI to, select candidates, because there's a lot of companies out there saying, hey, we use AI and we can select the best candidates. Mm-hmm. The issue then becomes, is it legal?
Ah.
And the general answer is, yeah, not so much so.
And there's companies doing it nowadays. There's been a lot of news reports of companies that are doing the AI is filtering or maybe doing all of the interview. I think there were some people that were saying recently that they figured out that their AI or their interview that they gave to HR was being run by an AI bot.
It's very possible. Kind of the bottom line is if you go and you look up, and I have all these references in the book, but if you go and you look up and you go, okay, well, it's not strictly illegal to do it. You have to really think about the bottom line and what court cases say. And what it really comes down to is any selection process, the case law that sits out there right now shows that you have to have what's called a validation study. And most places don't do a validation study. Now, the thing is, it's very difficult to bring a lawsuit. If you didn't get hired and you feel it's AI bias, it's extremely difficult and extremely expensive. Yeah. But here's the thing. If the company didn't do a validation study, they will go to court and they will lose.
Really?
It's that simple. They will go to court and they will lose.
I can hear a whole section of freaking attorneys chasing the sandwich now.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And then, so I also, in the book, I also cover some of the different laws across the U.S. One of the key laws that's out there is actually the Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act. The reason I say that is because there are 8 other states that have either enacted similar legislation or are in the process. But one of the key elements is that data can only be used for the purpose it was collected for. Criminal background checks. Criminal data isn't captured so you can do a background check for a job. So just chew on that. I mean, it's very common to use a service to, check out somebody's background, make sure they don't have a felony. But that's not a use. That wasn't the intended use for that data. And we haven't had any lawsuits with that yet. But these are things that somebody could, if you integrate that into your business, and now this is your business model, and now that you get rid of your HR because now you have this wonderful AI, and somebody goes and sues you, and you haven't done these steps, it might cost you your company.
Oh, well, that's good advisement to know, because people need to know what's going on with all this stuff and whether or not what the impacts are going to be of it. And yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, can AI really I don't know. There's a human element to a team.
Right.
And when you interview people, you can kind of feel if you have a groove or not, or you jive, or whatever the word is you want to use, but you want to, you preview of, I guess, someone's good on the team. And I don't know that AI is good at, I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, here's the bottom line. So interviews are a terrible way to select people, but as humans, we think we know how to do things. So you don't get past that. We have over a century of evidence that supports that there are some ways that are great ways to select people, and interviews really aren't them. Now, with that being said, if you're not doing it good as a human, how are you going to do it better as AI? Because the humans have to program the AI to do what somebody's doing not well. They're doing it poorly. So how does that work out? So, and I would say not well, not well in the long term.
Not well in the long term.
I'm being very, very kind to the
very, very kind. Yeah. So now this book here in particular, this is targeted towards human resources utilizing AI then?
It's really any business person or HR, but anybody that's like, I'm thinking about putting an AI, I'm having an AI service design, bots. I may have a platform where it does automated selection testing. This is really kind of the book that goes, okay, here's some things that you need to be aware of before you go down that road. Because because a lot of these companies, and I respect them, but at the end of the day, you're going to get sales. Sales isn't somebody that's telling you exactly how the AI works. Sales is also not somebody that typically has a background in selection like I do, where they're going to go, okay, here's some things you need to be aware of, such as, hey, if you don't have a validation study, and oh, by the way, here's a really cool thing about AI. You can't actually conduct a standard validation study with AI because the math behind the AI changes as it's exposed to different data. So you can't do the statistics.
So how do you do the statistics then?
With AI, you don't.
Yeah.
So otherwise, to not dive too far into geeky statistics stuff, essentially what we're looking at is what's called criterion validity or construct validity. So in other words, we go out and we go, okay, what do you do for a job, Chris? Okay, tell me about the tasks you do. Tell me about the things that you need to know. And then somebody like myself sits down there and we capture all this, and then we develop an assessment, a test based off what you've told us. And then we have an incumbent like yourself. You take the test. We'd have multiple people take the test, and then we go and we make sure that those items are predicting your potential for success. So in other words, it's a very involved process, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get you the best return on investment.
Best ROI that you can possibly get. So do you officially approve those AIs being used to interview people and analyze, I guess, resumes and stuff?
Interview people, that would be a non-starter for me. Although I will tell you that the best type of interviewing is called a structured interview. And AI is going to do a structured interview way better than a human will. But this still goes back to validation. You still have to validate. Now, could you validate AI doing an interview? Absolutely. Would it be that hard? That is actually something that wouldn't be that hard because the questions aren't going to change. Now, there's ways to wrangle it in, but one of the ways is doing what's called inter-rater reliability statistics on the AI itself. You should be doing it on the humans if the humans are doing interviews. Essentially what that says is how consistent they are. So in that fact, an AI interview actually is better. Now, that doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's better. If you do all the steps. That is a big if, because if you don't know to do this, then you just put something in. You could be doing something that is going to damage you and your company or, whatever organization you have. Now, if it's reviewing resumes, there's already been several EEOC cases with large settlements because some company used AI to review resumes. In one case, there was a $800,000, and it may not seem like a lot, but it's all relative to the size of the organization, the business. But there was an $800,000 judgment against a company that used AI screening of resumes because it was rejecting resumes of people that were over 50 and particularly women.
Oh, wow. It's discriminated.
Yep.
Wow. And what was the reason it did it? The functionality was bad, or did it just decided? How did it come up with that?
So it did what it was supposed to do because it's math. So 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? So it's math. Okay. But the way you have to look at this is this gets in, and this is a problem with the way AI is often designed and trained, is the people doing it don't understand some of the factors they really need to understand. So if I'm going to a population, I'm going to do this to screen resumes. and I can have anybody between the ages of 18 and 80, then I need to make sure that the data set I train the AI on has an equal representation of all the attributes that could come out on that resume. So you're going to need 50-50 male, female. You're going to need, an equal split between, if you do ethnicity, you're going to need, an equal split between different age groups. You have to be very careful. And the other thing is standardization is a great thing for AI. People love large language models. They're like, oh, I got Grok and it can figure all these things out. The issue with that then becomes what the probability is of an outlier. So really what you gotta do is you gotta really look at that and have a standard form. Every time I feed the AI a form that is a unique form, so you get to write your own resume, I have to compensate on my side for that. So I have to make sure that it can read letters in a ribbon. I have to make sure that it recognizes different types of font. So every time you complicate something for yourself, in the training, you got to compensate for it when you do the programming. So if I just say, okay, here's the standard format, fill out your resume, plug and play, and places are doing this, right? It'll extract the information, then that's going to give you better results. But you still have to be conscious that, what it's being exposed to is going to have maybe a very low representation of women versus men.
Oh, wow.
And you have to pay attention to this because over time that algorithm will pick up on the patterns, and the pattern is mostly men. I don't see a lot of women out there, dumping trash on trash trucks, right? So if you just use the people that apply, eventually it's going to say, well, this woman applied, but only men are the ones that are really scoring high. So only a man's going to get the job. So, it's not a fire and forget thing. It's something that has to be continuously monitored.
Wow. Otherwise you break the fair job hires, right? The law for that. Yeah. And what are some other ways human resources are using machine learning and AI?
One of the big ways, and a lot of places are using this, they're using chatbots. Because frankly, a lot of questions that come in are very standard questions, like, I'm thinking about changing my health care provider. How do I do that? The challenge becomes, did you integrate that properly with the people that are your customers in this case? And a lot of times the answer is no. I was talking to a gentleman a few months ago, and the credit union he works for came out with a chatbot. They spent months, and I'm sure thousands and thousands of dollars, and it was up for less than a week.
That's funny, man. That's funny. Well, it's a wild world we live in. Are you surprised at how fast artificial intelligence is advancing? I mean, it's just whipping fast, it seems, at least to someone like me.
Not really. It's brute force. So arguably one of the first references to artificial intelligence was in the 1200s for a thesis, and mathematical thesis that was written. Even if you look in Gulliver's Travels, there is a point when Gulliver comes to a land where everybody does what the machine tells them to do, which the machine's essentially AI, but it's mechanical AI. So he's amazed when he's walking through and people are building houses from the top down, not the foundation up.
Yeah.
So really what it's come down to is we have better microchips, but they're not improving like they were, say, in the 80s and 90s. and we just have more of them. So it's a brute force thing. So you have these large data centers that are sucking up a lot of energy. I mean, for example, the training of ChatGPT, I'm going to say, I think version 3, I did the calculations on it, the approximate calculations of how much energy it used. It took 3 months to train it approximately. And the electrical power that it consumed in those 3 months was the equivalent that 162 average American homes used in a year.
Wow. That is wild, man.
And energy usage hasn't gone down. I was speaking at a workshop for Pacific Northwest National Labs, their mathematic and artificial reasoning workshop. And the key theme there was we need to reduce power consumption we need to improve efficiency, I should say, by 1,000%. We're not even anywhere close to 1,000%, and we're building more and more data centers. I think the state of North Dakota has got $50 billion worth of data centers going up in North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they'll stay cool during the winter there. Got that.
Yeah. There's here in Utah, they're talking about building a nuclear plant up in some rural area of our state. Yeah. To do data centers. And I'm like, okay, nuclear power is back.
And that's a good thing. That's a benefit.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and I don't want to diverge too much, but when you start talking about wind and solar, that has to be electronically converted from DC to AC. That is, so all the equipment that is required to do that is actually pretty fragile. Whereas if you have your standard generation turbines, right? So with nuclear power, it's steam turbines. You actually have, something physically turning that has a resistance to slowing down and can regulate the frequency for the electricity, which is required on the grid. So nuclear power is actually a good thing.
Who knew? Is that the reason people's bills are going up? There's lots of people that seem to think that their electricity bills have been going up lately because of all these data centers and the need for stuff. It's almost like they feel like they're paying for this other stuff here.
Well, in a lot of ways they are.
Oh wow.
So the thing is data centers, along with some other utilities, hospitals, things like that, get priority power. So if power is going to go out, they're going to be one of the last groups to get power cut out, and they're going to be one of the first groups to get power cut in. Now you're dealing with we don't put up a lot of power plants in the U.S., and we haven't for a long time. Coal-fired power plants are dying, going out. You do have gas-fired power plants. Nuclear power plants have been in regulatory hell for decades.
Yeah.
So what you get is you wind up getting wind and solar. Well, one of the issues with wind and solar is how far it has to be transmitted. So the farther away you have to transmit the power from wind and solar, the more expensive it becomes, to the point it actually surpasses what it would cost for just conventional generation.
Wow, that's interesting to know. Yeah, it's kind of wild. I mean, all the different data centers they've set up. I think even the Trump administration has been trying to get coal back online. I think they've done some things for their coal buddies or whatever in different areas. Is coal like coming back in them?
I'm going to say it's so some of it's not going away as fast.
Yeah.
But here's the thing too on the power side of things. A conventional power generation facility, its lifespan is 50, 75 years. Solar panels and wind generation, lifespan's 25. So nuclear is also 50 to 75. because we have ships in the Navy that have been running nuclear power aircraft carriers for upwards of 50 years. No accidents or anything else. It's not that we don't have experience doing this stuff. It's just people got to, they didn't like the feeling of nuclear. Oh my God, we're going to all glow green.
Not in my backyard. That's sort of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And if you actually look at physical waste, the volume of waste from a nuclear power plant compared to, because that's a big thing with coal, right? Is your emissions and how many tons of pollutants and blah, blah, blah. If you look at what, the physical dimensions of nuclear power rods and how often they have to be changed out, you're talking, it's a fraction of what a conventional power plant's actually going to pump out into the atmosphere. So, again, people are like, where are we going to stick all this nuclear material? It's like, do you realize it's not that much? It's not physically that much. You got more trash probably generated out of your house in a year than that'll be in 25.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Did they keep the nuclear thing open in the nuclear mountain open in Nevada, or they closed and sealed that thing? I don't remember.
The Yucca Mountain facility was open for all of a day, which was supposed to be the place we store all the waste. Yeah. I mean, it got certified. They had a ribbon cutting, and literally like the next day they went, oh, well, we're shutting this down because nobody could agree on how to transport it. Because again, everybody's like,
that's what it was. The transporting on trains and the risks to different states as they.
Well, and that there again, it's like, oh my God, it's nuclear. Well, the chances of having an issue with that, I mean, this is something that probably amazes a lot of people, but isopropyl alcohol rolls through populated areas.
Yeah.
That is deadly stuff. If you had a train wreck and it's happened, just the fumes alone, and I'm not talking fire, just the fumes alone would kill people.
Wow.
Well, you would die of alcohol poisoning, literally.
Wow. That's a hell of a way to die. Huh.
Yeah.
So, some of the things you talk about too, you talk about something called a multi-dimensional algorithm structure, a MAS. Tell us about what this is and how's it being utilized.
So I came up with the multi-dimensional algorithm structure partly because up until I came up with that, there was no taxonomy for AI algorithms. So, like there's a taxonomy for a lot of things. You use this hammer for this kind of project with these kind of nails. What's happened in the world of AI is there's a lot of different algorithms. There's about 60 some odd families of algorithms based on the math. But it's what I've been exposed to. That's what I pick. That's not a good way of doing things because some algorithms work really good for certain things and not so good for other things. Kind of like a large language model is really good for unstructured language data. It does not do math well. It does not math. There are other things that do math well. So with MAS, the multidimensional algorithm structure, that's designed to identify the different factors and help select the algorithm that meets your need. So that's really where that starts coming in, with the integration of AI into an environment. So let's say that you want to do, I don't know, you want to predict the stock market. Okay. Then you don't want a neural network, which is typically what an LLM is based on. There are other algorithms that are much better for that. But, maybe you don't have the right data. So the structure's all designed to identify those critical attributes that'll either increase or decrease the potential for success with an AI algorithm, integrating it in. So that's kind of the short of it.
Cool.
Well, and here's an interesting thing, and I haven't talked about explainable artificial intelligence construct yet, and they actually go together. But did a head-to-head comparison with MASS and XAIC with other structures for implementing AI, including like NIST, and MASS and XAIC beat out all of them.
Oh, wow.
Hands down. Hands down. If you want something that is actually going to really reduce your risk when you're trying to implement AI, right now that's the only way to do it, is with MASS and XAIC.
There you go. And we talked about, and you explained what the XAIC is then, the explainable artificial intelligence construct.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I was just going to say, so to touch on that really quickly. So XAIC, so MASS is for the algorithms. XAIC is really for how you're going to integrate it into the human environment. So, like, for example, an analogy I like using is, a lot of us use, some sort of map program, Google Maps. How many people go, oh, what kind of algorithm is driving Google Maps? We don't care. We just use it.
Yeah. That's good.
Right. So if you're going to have something like that people are just going to use, do you really need to explain how it functions? Because there's this big kick like, oh, I need to train people on this so they'll trust it. It's like, do they care? Now, there's several different traits that you actually have to identify, factors you have to identify whether you do need to train somebody. But here's the other thing. Can you train somebody? For example, I have somebody that's a cashier. And not to bang on cashiers or anything or individuals, but, on average, high school diploma. Average high school math. Do you think that we could actually reasonably train that group of people? Now, we're not talking to individuals because there's always somebody that's going to be smart and you're going to be able to train them. But as a group, do you think we can train that group on a neural network? Do you think that we're going to be able to jump in and start explaining quadratic equations to them or, any kind of advanced mathematics?
Probably not. I mean, it sounds pretty complex to me. I don't know.
Yeah, the answer is no. And so at that point, why are we integrating this tool in that we now have to explain to people that probably they're not going to grasp the explanation? That's a risk, right? So you want to make sure that you're balancing all this out. And then the other aspect of that too is, if you integrate something into your business, your organization, and the people don't understand it, also probably don't trust it, what are they going to do? They're going to do the human thing. They're going to do workarounds. So you just wasted a bunch of money. And you might have fired people too. I mean,
wow,
this has happened. It's like, well, we put this AI in there, so they're going to be twice as efficient. So I only need half the staff. And then you find out, well, your AI doesn't work. You fired all these people, and now look at where you're at.
Yeah, there's a lot of people doing layoffs too with AI and thinking they're fine. So that'll be interesting if it turns out that way. So let's talk about some of the services you offer on the website. You talk about helping people with their decision making and planning, I guess, and execution of AI.
So because really the thing is the human machine teaming side of things, the machine side of things is engineered. We often don't know the human side of things. That's where I come in, is to make sure the two are matching up. Because a lot of times, and this goes back to when we were talking about using AI to select job candidates, if you want it to do a really good job, you really have to understand what those candidates are doing, what the people doing the job are really doing. Because a lot of times we miss something. We think we understand what somebody's doing. So that's part of the services too. So let's say that you haven't done an actual real job analysis and really gotten down to figure out what folks do. That's a service I provide. I can go in there and I can go, okay, here's the knowledge, skills, and abilities. And if you're going to integrate AI into this, this is kind of how you need to do this. So you can augment, even replace, although that's something I would not highly recommend for a lot of things. But you want to augment the people. So how do you best do that? And then there's other considerations too, is like, what's the long-term effect? Are we going to lose, knowledgeable workers because they're used to pushing the easy button? That's something. I also do business coaching and executive coaching, where we look at things like management. So it's kind of a holistic deal. People will go in and they think AI is going to solve a bunch of problems. Well, I'm here with a palette of things to say, okay, well, maybe you can save some money on AI, and we have a better solution for you that's more cost effective. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, just picture this, that you have a business and now you've put AI in place. Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody came in, they designed this tool for you, for Chris Voss. Awesome. That means that you have one provider. What if they double their price? What if they go bankrupt?
Yeah, that would suck. And you lose access to everything.
Yeah.
How does your work as an organizational psychologist, how does that integrate with some of the consulting you do and stuff?
So really what it does is it gives me, insights into the human condition, the culture, things like that. And I'm not going to say soft skills, because I'm more of the the industrial side. I'm more the measurement kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But really what it does is like, okay, this is how humans react to this. This is the probability this is going to occur. And this is the best way to approach these topics, the integration of AI and humans, or let's say your company's scaling, you're growing, and you go, man, we got a great culture. I know it'll change, but I want to maintain a great culture. That's where I come in and I do some of these assessments, and I look at it and I go, okay, here's what you want to do. Here's what you don't want to do. Here's some things that you need to pay attention to. And I'm the kind of guy that I come in and I build stuff. I like saying, as an industrial organizational psychologist, I'm like a contractor to build your house. Mm-hmm. I'm going to build your house. I'm not going to run your house. I'm not going to live in your house. You're going to tell me what you want. I will tell you if it's possible and how much it costs. And then if you have some problems down the line, I can come in and help you again. Most places don't need somebody like me on staff. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just a waste of money. But you can benefit greatly from me coming in. Hopefully I kind of hit what you were asking.
Yeah. And you can help people avoid some of the legal pitfalls, it sounds like, and some of the other pitfalls that come with it as well.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Because I wind up talking to folks about the legal side of things, because legal has a punch, right? We watch Law and Order because, law, right? It has a punch. Yeah. But the reality is, at the end of the day, you probably will not get sued. You probably won't run into legal problems. What you will encounter, though, is your return on your investment. And one of the things that I can help ensure is that you're getting the most bang for your buck from, say, a selection method or from any of these other things. Because there's a lot of things in life that sound great. They are not. They're just a money sink. And these are things I know. It's like, for example, it's great talking about right brain and left brain, but there's no such thing. There's no difference really between the two hemispheres. So, what are you really trying to get at? Are you just trying to communicate to somebody and get something grounded? Well, there's better ways to do it than that, and not falling into some of these traps where it's like, AI trap even. It's a shiny. It's going to do this for me. And then find out no, not really. Kind of like, back in the day when you used to get toys in a cereal box and you would think, oh, wow, I'm getting this super thing out of a honeycombs box. And you find out it's just this piece of plastic that falls apart in about 2 seconds.
Oh, wow. So now you've got some other books you're working on too as well. Tell us about them. Tease them out to us if you would.
Sure. So I'm working on a series that deals with human machine teaming and best practices, really to, kind of get down to say, look, this is kind of how you want to approach this. Here's things that you need to take into account. And to really kind of walk people through it, again, give them, and they're going to be short. I could be the academic and have a 300-page book, but frankly, most people wouldn't read 300 pages. And, that's why you got me. I'm trying to make some job security for myself by saying, come and talk to me.
There you
go. Yeah.
So as we go out, give people a final pitch out to onboard with you, order up the book, how they can reach out to you and find out how to do business with you and all that good stuff.
So the books, my book is on Amazon. It may be a little bit difficult to find because, it's not like a #1 bestseller. So, but, persistence pays off. One of the best places to actually link up with me is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the place that I inhabit the most, and I have my calendar there, and you can schedule an appointment with me, and we can get to know each other and find out where your pain points are, and I can help you with a lot of different things. I'm not trying to be everything, to everyone, but I do tend to focus on veterans, and I also focus on tech. So I'm very much into the artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, having dealt with those topics for years.
Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Very insightful, and we learned a lot about AI. I think I learned. It's still kind of interesting. All the stuff that's going on, I'm just like holding on for dear life, going, what do I do now?
Well, that's your introduction, right?
Yeah.
Making, smart people, blowing your mind kind of thing. And just as to throw something out there kind of as a final thought too, is, have you ever heard of the sigmoid curve?
No. I might have, but not I can recall.
Okay, so the sigmoid curve, the basic idea is really quickly is that in the very beginning, like you're starting your business, there's a lot of effort and you see some gain, but it's not real fast. And then you hit a point when you're really starting to hit stride and you're getting a lot of gains. So your return on investment is really good. You're rocketing up. And then when you get to the top of the sigmoid curve, the S curve, all of a sudden you're spending more and more to get less and less. So, I mean, we don't have planes that do Mach 12 like that are commercial airliners, right? So these are all things where you start spending, and this gets to data centers too, is you start spending more and more to do less. And functionally, we have not changed how we approach AI. The mathematics has been around for many, many decades. Chip design, while it's improved, it's an improvement. It's not new. It's not radical. And until we actually have something like that, it's just brute force.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out. There's a lot of worries right now about people, losing jobs and a huge amount of joblessness and stuff like that as we change over to these new things. So it's going to be interesting how it all comes out. Yeah. Thank you very much, Kurt, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to our audience for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning in Human Resources, a concise guide. And watch for his upcoming releases. That way you can know more. And so like there are a lot of legal protections too you got to take and do with yourself. Thanks to my audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out. Great job, Kurt.